Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss adaptive leadership, an important leadership approach that helps organizations and individuals respond effectively to change, uncertainty, and complex challenges. The concept of adaptive leadership was originally developed by Ronald Heifetz and focuses on mobilizing people to face challenges directly instead of depending entirely on leaders for solutions. Modern organizations constantly face change, uncertainty, and unexpected challenges. In these situations, leaders must do more than simply give instructions. Adaptive leaders help people think differently, learn new approaches, and work together to solve complex problems. Rather than providing every answer themselves, they create environments where people can grow, adapt, and succeed together. Adaptive leadership is about helping people change and adjust to new situations. According to Heifetz, adaptive leadership does not focus only on leaders solving problems for others. Instead, it encourages people themselves to participate in problem solving and adaptation. This leadership approach emphasizes learning, creativity, flexibility, and collaboration in complex situations. Adaptive leadership is not mainly about how leaders adapt personally. It is more about helping followers adapt successfully to challenges and change. Adaptive leadership can be described as the practice of mobilizing people to tackle tough challenges and thrive. This approach focuses more on leadership behaviors rather than leadership positions or titles. Adaptive leaders motivate, organize, and focus people's attention on important work that requires change and learning. The ultimate goal is to help people develop new ways of thinking and living so they can grow successfully in difficult environments. Adaptive leadership also recognizes that people adapt more effectively when they confront difficult problems directly and work through internal conflicts constructively. Leadership today requires more than authority and technical expertise. Organizations need leaders who can guide people through uncertainty and encourage continuous learning. Adaptive leaders create supportive environments where individuals feel safe enough to face challenges, question assumptions, and discover new solutions together. The adaptive leadership model explains how leaders help people address difficult challenges by distinguishing between technical problems and adaptive challenges. Some problems can be solved using existing knowledge, expertise, and procedures. Other challenges require deeper changes in attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Adaptive leadership helps organizations recognize these differences and respond appropriately. The model emphasizes learning, participation, communication, and shared responsibility throughout the adaptation process. Technical challenges are problems that are clearly defined and usually have known solutions. These challenges can often be solved using existing organizational procedures, expert knowledge, or professional skills. In technical situations, people usually expect leaders or experts to provide solutions directly. Examples may include software failures, operational errors, or process improvements that can be resolved through established systems and expertise. Some challenges contain both technical and adaptive elements. These situations may be clearly defined, but their solutions require more than technical expertise alone. In these cases, responsibility is shared between leaders and team members. Leaders provide guidance, support, and resources, while people themselves must learn, change behaviors, and adapt to new realities. This collaborative process helps organizations respond more effectively to complex situations. Not every challenge can be solved with simple instructions or technical expertise. Some situations require people to rethink habits, attitudes, and behaviors. Adaptive leadership encourages shared responsibility and helps teams become more flexible and resilient during times of change. Adaptive challenges are problems that are difficult to identify and cannot be solved through authority or standard procedures alone. These challenges often require changes in beliefs, values, perceptions, and behaviors. Adaptive challenges are usually emotionally difficult because they force people to leave familiar ways of thinking and working. Leaders facing adaptive challenges must encourage people to define the problem together and participate actively in finding solutions. An example might include organizational culture change, conflict management, or major social and emotional decisions within families or organizations. Ronald Heifetz introduced 6 important behaviors that help leaders guide people through change and uncertainty. These behaviors help leaders manage challenges effectively, encourage adaptation, and support people during complex situations. One important adaptive leadership behavior is called getting on the balcony. This means leaders step back from immediate conflict and activity in order to observe the bigger picture more clearly. By gaining perspective, leaders can better understand organizational dynamics, power struggles, hidden conflicts, and patterns of behavior. This approach allows leaders to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally during stressful situations. Adaptive leaders remain connected to challenges while maintaining enough distance to analyze situations objectively. Adaptive leaders must carefully diagnose whether a challenge is technical or adaptive. Leadership failures often happen when leaders treat adaptive challenges as if they only require technical solutions. When problems affect people's beliefs, emotions, attitudes, or values, adaptive leadership becomes necessary. Adaptive leaders help people recognize the need for change and support them as they learn new ways of coping and responding. Successful leaders understand that change can create discomfort and emotional resistance. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, adaptive leaders help people face challenges honestly and constructively. Careful observation and thoughtful leadership help organizations adapt more effectively during uncertain times. Adaptive challenges often create stress, uncertainty, and emotional discomfort. People naturally prefer consistency and may resist change because it threatens familiar beliefs and routines. Adaptive leaders regulate distress by helping people remain focused without becoming overwhelmed. Leaders create supportive environments, provide guidance and protection, and maintain stress levels within a productive range. This balance allows people to continue learning and adapting without losing motivation or confidence. Adaptive leaders encourage people to remain focused on important issues instead of avoiding difficult work. When facing change, people often respond with avoidance behaviors such as denial, blaming others, or distracting themselves with unrelated tasks. Leaders help teams confront problems openly and maintain disciplined attention on necessary change. By encouraging honest discussion and accountability, leaders help organizations move forward more effectively. Adaptive leadership emphasizes empowering people instead of creating dependence on leaders. Although people often want leaders to provide answers and direction, overly controlling leadership can limit learning and growth. Adaptive leaders shift responsibility back to team members and encourage independent thinking. This approach helps people build confidence, develop problem-solving skills, and take ownership of challenges and solutions. Empowered teams are more capable of adapting to change and solving complex problems. Adaptive leadership encourages collaboration, accountability, and shared learning across organizations. When people feel trusted and involved, they become more engaged and motivated to contribute effectively. Adaptive leaders listen carefully to people whose voices are often ignored or marginalized. These individuals may offer important perspectives, creative ideas, or valuable concerns that others overlook. Protecting voices from below requires leaders to share some control and encourage broader participation in decision-making. By giving all individuals an opportunity to contribute, organizations become more inclusive, innovative, and responsive to change. Adaptive work is the process through which people learn, adjust, and develop solutions to adaptive challenges. Although leaders guide the process, adaptive work is primarily carried out by followers themselves. This work occurs within a supportive environment where people feel safe enough to question assumptions, discuss concerns, and explore change openly. Adaptive work helps organizations strengthen resilience, collaboration, and long-term growth. The adaptive work process begins when leaders step back and assess the situation carefully. Leaders determine whether challenges are technical or adaptive in nature. Technical problems may be solved through expertise and established systems, while adaptive challenges require communication, learning, and behavioral change. Adaptive leaders then guide people through the process by regulating distress, encouraging participation, and keeping attention focused on important issues. Several leadership behaviors are essential for successful adaptive leadership. These include regulating distress, creating supportive environments, providing direction, maintaining focus on important issues, empowering people, and listening to marginalized voices. Together, these behaviors help leaders create cultures of learning, collaboration, and adaptability. Organizations that encourage these leadership behaviors are often better prepared for change and uncertainty. Adaptive leadership is built on communication, trust, and continuous learning. Leaders who encourage participation and empower others help organizations become stronger and more resilient over time. Successful adaptation happens when people work together openly and remain willing to learn and grow. Heifetz identified 6 important behaviors of adaptive leaders. These include gaining perspective from the balcony, identifying adaptive challenges, regulating distress, maintaining disciplined attention, empowering people, and protecting marginalized voices. Together, these behaviors help leaders guide organizations through uncertainty and complex change more effectively. Adaptive leadership focuses not only on solving problems, but also on helping people grow through the process of change itself. Adaptive leaders are often guided by 4 important principles, known as the 4 A's. Anticipation involves recognizing future trends, risks, and opportunities. Articulation means communicating ideas clearly in order to build understanding and support. Adaptation refers to continuous learning and adjusting strategies when necessary. Accountability emphasizes transparency, responsibility, openness to feedback, and ethical decision-making. These principles help leaders guide organizations successfully through changing environments. Adaptive leadership is an essential approach for leading people through uncertainty, complexity, and change. Rather than simply providing solutions, adaptive leaders help people learn, grow, and respond effectively to difficult challenges. By encouraging collaboration, emotional awareness, flexibility, and shared responsibility, adaptive leadership strengthens both individuals and organizations. In today's rapidly changing world, leaders who can inspire adaptation and continuous learning are better prepared to create long-term success. The ability to adapt has become one of the most valuable leadership qualities in modern organizations. Adaptive leaders help people face uncertainty with confidence, resilience, and collaboration. Organizations that embrace learning, flexibility, and shared leadership are more capable of thriving in changing environments. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.